Hi, everyone, and welcome to Behind the Numbers. My name is Dave Bookbinder, and this is the program where we dig deeper to understand what really matters most in business. Today, we're going to be talking all things marketing, and I'm pleased to welcome Robert Brill, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Brill Media. Hey, Robert, welcome to Behind the Numbers.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Before we get started, why don't you just introduce yourself briefly to the audience? Tell them who you are, what you do, who you serve, all that good stuff.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. So, 21 years in the advertising business, 11 years bootstrapping my agency, Brill Media. And we serve both businesses and agencies with media buying. And we believe it's important to take the guesswork out of marketing. So we have a system and process in place to understand the exact messages that resonate for your customers.
What's a typical customer look like for you?
It's an agency, typically creative shop that likes to offer media buying services, but doesn't want to enable that in-house. We also work directly with a business, anything from debt relief to travel to e-commerce, B2B, lead generation for other agencies in some cases. It's a variety, because once you understand the fundamentals of media buying, it can be deployed pretty effectively across the board.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show today to talk to us a little bit about general marketing strategies and what businesses should be thinking about, and really looking forward to diving into that with you. So why don't we kick it off with talking about marketing at a very high level? I serve a lot of clients in my day-to-day work as a valuation professional, and many of them are, we'll call them smaller businesses, lower middle market. Marketing isn't always a priority, and when they start to think about it, honestly, Robert, many of them don't even know where to begin. So why don't we start there? Where do you tell folks to begin with marketing?
Yeah, the first thing to do is to develop a strategy. And a strategy usually is defined by understanding who your customers are, why they're buying from you, the steps that your customers are taking to ensure that you have optimized that process for their benefit. It's understanding the channels in which it's most appropriate to reach them. And then it's a set of priority recommendations, essentially, which identifies if you have, what are the top 3 things you should be focusing on to grow the business. I can give you some examples there, but basically a strategy is really important because it tells you how to get where you want to go. And importantly, for a lot of businesses, it helps you define what you're even trying to achieve. Is it a lot of growth? Is it a lot of customers? Is it a lot of revenue? Is it a lot of profit? So just having that clarity is going to be very important for the daily operations of the business.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of things, and brand differentiation is another, the unique value proposition, one firm versus another, especially in fields that are often perceived to be commodities. And again, when we talk about strategy, one thing that comes to my mind, because I've seen it with my clients, is content strategy. Some of them are embarking on this journey of creating content. They're making videos, going on podcasts. But to your point about strategy, they don't really have a plan on what to do with that stuff. So you alluded to the idea that you've got some examples that you wouldn't mind sharing. So we would love for you to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk about B2B because we do our own marketing for our business, and we help other B2B marketing companies market themselves. So there's kind of like mass B2B and very niche B2B. So let's talk about mass B2B. Like our company in some cases is very mass B2B. Like there are a lot of different companies that are checking us out, and they want to know that they're working with a reputable firm. So the question is, how do we communicate that we are a reputable firm? So there's a couple ways. Number one, credibility markers. You can see in the back, you have the Inc. 5000. We've been on the Financial Times 500 in aggregate 11 times. So we have a page on our website that talks about our business, and we talk about how much money we've spent in media, $32 million, that we've been on the Inc. 5000 and Financial Times 500. The other part of it is you need testimonials and reviews. So, and the reviews need to happen. The testimonials can happen on your website, but they should happen also outside of your website as well. So we started collecting reviews on Google in a platform for advertising agencies called Clutch. And what's valuable there is that we're going to go out to the marketplace and talk about ourselves, but people are then going to do research on us, and they need to see some relevant messages that show that that people are willing to vouch for us. So one of the tenets of B2B marketing is have good reviews, and have reviews outside of your website. So um, if you're a retail business, have reviews on Yelp, for example. But Google My Business reviews are going to be important for a lot of businesses, even if it's just a few. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, certainly that resonates. I think everybody who makes a purchase decision on Amazon, if they're buying a product maybe for the first time, first thing they're going to do is take a look at reviews. What have other people said it's like to have used the product, what their experience has been with customer service?
Yeah. So the next step is going to be ensuring that people who show interest in your business are seeing your messages after they visit your website. So the fundamental there is retargeting. And, me working in the advertising business, I think everyone fully understands retargeting, but I'm in several groups and I have sales conversations, and there are many companies who are not there yet with retargeting. So the lowest barrier to entry for advertising, for spending money to deliver marketing messages, you should be doing retargeting. And retargeting just means that when people visit either any part of your page, your website, or certain pages on your website, they are receiving ads after they leave your website. And as a consumer, you see this when you go shopping. Like I'm a Dodgers fan, so I will see ads for Dodgers gear in my Facebook feed and on my banners when I look at the web. And so it's really easy to create consumption points. You need about 27 different touch points before people are willing to take action with your business. And retargeting is a good way to ensure that you are staying top of mind amongst other competitive offerings in the marketplace. Because we all know that we, as consumers of anything, we have limited attention. It's hard to capture our attention because we're bombarded with thousands of messages a day. So it's important to remain in front of your customer for the duration of their consumer journey. And that goes back to understanding what the consumer journey is. A lot of mistakes that B2B advertisers make in particular is that they don't understand how long the purchase cycle is. So if your purchase cycle is 5 months, but you don't have retargeting on for 5 months, and you're not following up with your prospect for 5 months, then you are leaving money on the table because you are not ensuring that you are in market when your prospect is ready to buy. And if your sales cycle is 36 months, then you've got to be in market for 36 months. So there are cost-effective ways to ensure this happens, but just simply understanding how your customers buy is going to be a really important first step to then follow through on that purchase behavior.
Yeah, it sounds so intuitive, but when you said it takes 27 touch points before a customer interacts with you, that really surprised me. I always thought it was a little smaller number. Didn't know it was 27. That's quite a a large number of times you've got to be in front of people. So it's consistent, as you say, predictable, repeatable, and scalable. And I want to
Yeah.
just emphasize that because those are your words with regard to marketing: predictable, repeatable, and scalable.
Yeah.
And when you're putting together this whole marketing program and strategy, those are the three components. Why don't you just explain a little bit about each of those, Robert?
Yeah. Predictable is you understand what's going to happen 10 months from now because your systems are in place and you understand how you're going to achieve growth. Scalable means if you spend, let's say, $1,000 in advertising dollars today, and you spend $10,000 in advertising, let's say 10 months from now, you know that you're going to get about 10 times the results. And maybe it's not even 10 times. Maybe when you scale up 10x, maybe you only get 5 times the results. But the point is, it's scalable. It grows with your spend. It doesn't have to be one for one, but it grows. Predictable, scalable, and repeatable. So repeatable means you know you can do the same thing month in and month out, and it drives business results. So I'll give you an example of one common challenge that I'm talking about B2B. We do a lot with e-commerce as well and retailers and whatnot, but I'm fascinated by B2B because it's what I'm thinking about a lot with my business. I'll tell you one thing that people often use as a badge of honor, but I think is actually a massive challenge for business and something that is not repeatable, predictable, or scalable. It's referrals. I built my business on the back of relationships that I had when I started the business. I had spent 10 years working in the advertising business for several agencies, and I had made a good network of people, and they trusted me, and etc. So I'd built my business off of referrals, and people came out of the woodwork and gave us recommendations that another agency should work with us off of someone I knew like 17 years ago. That's not scalable because I can't manufacture those relationships. They need to happen over time. And so agencies or businesses will come to us and say, well, we're very proud of the fact that we haven't had to do any marketing. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you're in the position you're in, because you don't have predictable, repeatable, scalable growth. And eventually that's going to run out. Or it's not going to run out and you're going to have a diversification challenge. 60, 70% of your revenue is going to come from 3 clients. And if one of those clients leaves, you're in the lurch. And your emotional you're on an emotional roller coaster week in and week out because your business is purely reliant on 3 individuals or 6 individuals or 10 individuals at 3 different companies who are, if they're having a good day, you're having a good day. If they're having a bad day, you're having a bad day because of fear of losing the business. So every business, e-commerce, retail, B2B, we all need predictable, repeatable, and scalable business growth, which is why marketing is such a critical element of that. So it's sales, cold reach outs, it's advertising, it's content posting, it's SEO, which is very important. So, yeah.
Yeah, and look, you talk about badge of honor. I see it all the time, and I've heard just the other day where someone was saying to me that they'd much rather have 3 really good referral sources than a broad network of referral sources. And my first thought was, why? I'd much rather have the broader network there. But you started to allude to SEO,
Yeah.
and SEO is something that I want you to help maybe demystify for the audience. So it's search
Yeah.
engine optimization.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about what that really means, and then how do you use it effectively?
Yeah, there's kind of like 2 ways to break out SEO. So search engine optimization, it all comes down to your domain score. And the domain score is not on a scale of like 0 to 100. What number is your website? So when you're just starting out, you just first publish your website SEO score is going to be like 0 or 0.5 or something. But Facebook, yeah, YouTube, Google, Forbes, Fortune, Entrepreneur, those are like in the 90s because there's high, it has a reputation and it's trustworthy. So the question is, how do you increase your SEO score and or your domain ranking? How do you increase it, and why in the first place you even need to increase it to begin with? The reason you need to increase your domain ranking is because the higher your score, the more keywords that are relevant for your business, the more keywords your website or a page on your website will rank for, which means that you're going to have more people who are highly qualified and interested in your business finding your website and not your competitor's website. That's what SEO is. And there's 2 functions in SEO. There's the sort of like, if you use an agricultural analogy, you're planting the seeds or you're harvesting. So the planting of the seeds is the things that you do to raise your SEO, your domain ranking. And then the harvesting are the things you do to capture the audience. So on the planting your seeds part of it, there are several things you do to plant those seeds and to raise your domain ranking. So in no particular order, you want backlinks to your website. There's a whole set of strategies that I can get into about how to do that. but you want backlinks from your website, not just from anything, but something that's relevant and shows authority in relation to what you offer. So we're a marketing and advertising company. So I want to be on sites like Forbes, Entrepreneur, Fortune, Fast Company, Inc., etc., American Express. I have all those except Entrepreneur. I want those websites to link back to my site with a link or in regards to a topic that is relevant to marketing, advertising, business, AI, something relevant to our business. If I get a link back for, talking about Britney Spears in a like entertainment sort of way, it's not very valuable for me. And it's actually detrimental because it'll confuse the algorithm, because people who search for Britney Spears, I don't want people searching for Britney Spears to find my site, because my site has nothing to do with Britney Spears. But if you're searching for hyperlocal advertising, media buying, marketing services, I want you to find my website. So you want backlinks to your website. The higher the domain score of the site that's backlinking to you, the better it is. So a website that's coming in with an 80 domain ranking is better than a website that comes in with a 20 domain ranking. Okay. So then the question is, and then there's another set of elements, which is the on-site SEO, which is like things that are actually quite easy to do. Like when you upload an image to your website, it's not good enough to upload an image. You have to, number one, change the file name of the website, hyperlocal-advertising-Los Angeles, because that tells Google what this image is about. It's about hyperlocal advertising in Los Angeles. Then you change the description and the alt text. So the alt text, the function of the alt text is that if you're visually impaired, the alt text will, there's mechanisms on a computer where you can have the computer read to you the content of the website. So there's a mechanism there. But for Google, the benefit is it also tells Google what that image is about. It's about a person in Los Angeles conducting a hyperlocal advertising campaign. Okay. So now Google understands that this page is about hyperlocal advertising and all the things about that. So there's the on-page stuff. And then the last part of it is, very technical. We have people who do that in-house, which is like speeding up the website so that Google sees that it loads in like 0.3 seconds, things like that. All of that, what I just described, is planting the seed to increase your domain authority. The other part of it is harvesting, so that as your domain authority increases, you get more business. And how do you get more business? You publish web pages that are kind of like salesy, that talk about individual things that people are searching for. So when a person searches for hyperlocal advertising in Los Angeles, we're going to come up in the rankings because we've made pages that are exclusively about hyperlocal advertising in Los Angeles. So planting a seed and then harvesting it so you get business. From October of 22 to, October of 23 to April of 24, we increased our domain ranking from 22 to 34. We got over $100,000 of business off of it.
So when you talk about the backlinks piece, I think everybody gets that, what you're talking about. But how do you get the backlink from, say, a Forbes or an Inc. or Entrepreneur without maybe posting an article or having them publish an article on your behalf on their site?
So it's actually quite easy. So here's all the tricks. There's like 3 or 4 things you can do. Number one, go on podcasts, because guess what happens on podcasts? Podcasters will usually link back to a website. So that's number one, right? So you're going to link, most podcasters will have a website and they'll link back to my website from their website. So that's a link back, relevant link back. That's number one. Number two, they will also publish to Spotify or Apple or iHeartRadio and other publications and link back a second time to my website from that. And those are usually higher domain authority websites like iHeartRadio. So that's 2 links back to my website. So how do you get on specifically publications? So there's several tools that I use. One is called Featured. It's like, I don't know, $50, $60 a month. And they have journalists. And journalists are looking for people to answer questions. And if you answer questions about the topic and they choose your quote, they will often, not all the time, but often link back to your website. The next tool is going to be Quoted, QWOTED. Same concept. Journalists looking for quotes, you submit a bunch of information, and then you get linked back to your website. And so, like through Quoted, I got on Digiday, which is relevant for advertising. I got on The Drum, which is relevant there. I think I even got on American Express. They have a site called Business Class. PBS, which is like a domain rank of 89, has a, I don't remember because it took like a year for it to post. Has a business publication that I got featured on, not featured, but a quote in. And yeah, like it just like wake up every day, spend 30 minutes on these platforms, answering questions on information that you're an expert in. You can search like for marketing, AI, social media, etc., whatever your field is. And you just do
Yeah,
that. You do that for 6 months.
yeah, I'm familiar with Quoted. There's another one called Help a Reporter Out. I've used both of those and have had quotes and references and so forth, as you
Yeah.
just described. And the other cool thing that happens from that is you become a trusted resource for some of these journalists, and they'll reach back to you when they've got another question, and it's just an upward spiral from there. I want to shift gears just a little bit here, Robert, and talk about language and how do you choose the right language that resonates with customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So the short answer is the thing that unites us all in this world. There's one thing. Any planet any continent you go on and you talk to people, the thing that unites us all is we all have problems. So as business owners and marketers, if we can orient around the problems that people face, it's a direct path to sales. And this is relevant because too often, especially with clients that, take advantage of this sort of service that I'm about to share, is they're running ads and there's usually telltale symptoms. I'm getting clicks on Google, but no one's buying. Or I'm getting clicks on Meta, but no one's buying. Or I'm generating leads and they're not the right leads. And the reason that's happening is because, number one, you're undifferentiated. You don't have a clear defensible position. And by the way, different is better than better. So your product or service doesn't have to be like amazing. It has to be different.
That makes sense.
As an aside, the first episode of Mad Men was based on an experience with Schlitz beer. And Schlitz in the 1960s, I guess, Schlitz beer was like number 10 out of 10 in the category for beers. And they went to market for 3 years talking about how their bottles were brown to better preserve the quality of the beer. Now, if you've ever drank beer, you know that every bottle of beer is brown. But their marketing was focused on this and some other aspect of it. And the idea is that you take something that exists within your packaging, the creation, the manufacturing of your product or service, and you dial into that point. It may be the same thing that every other competitor does, but if you craft a defensible position around it, people's brains will lock onto that trigger and say, "Ooh, their beer is fresh because it's in a brown bottle."
Right.
So this defensible position is important, and if you don't have one of those, it's challenging. So here's how we overcome that. We do a 2-week sprint test, and the sprint test is a methodology that allows you to do several things. Number one, you are understanding the problems your customers want you to solve for. I just met with a business owner. He has a great product, but the most valuable thing that he does is really hard to explain because it's very nuanced and you have to really be in the zone to like see it. but it saves you time and it saves you money. That's not even the most important part of it, but that's like, you've got to find people where they're at. So if you go to market and try to explain a highly nuanced thing to people in advertising, you're going to fail because people have like 2 seconds. But if you meet people where they are at, you have the opportunity to really get in front of them, hook them, get them to your landing page, and then you have an opportunity to tell more of the story. So we have this 2-week sprint test. We do research on Twitter X, Reddit, Amazon reviews, AI, and niche trade publications in some cases. We want to understand what's the problem that your customers are talking about that you solve for. We'll craft 30 different problem statements. We'll go to Meta, we'll test them, a few hundred impressions each. Then we're going to test images. We want to see which images are clickable, like which images are so interesting that they just get people to click with very limited information, like just a headline of what your business does. And then the last part, the most important part of this, is crafting a solution. We already know the problem your customer wants you to solve for. So now let's give them a solution to that particular problem. We test 20 different solution statements. And at the end of that process, you have an ad. And so what happens is, when a person sees an ad that is highly validated, they see the text at the top of an image, not the text that's written out in an ad, but like it's an image with a little bit of text at the top. They read the text, they look at the image, and then they want more clarification. Then they go to the primary text at the top. That process allows you to systematically validate individual elements of your ad, so that when you're done, you have a fully validated marketing message. When we did that with our business, our lead cost dropped 76%, from $114 cost per lead down to $26.74. And the leads that came in at the lower cost were more valuable. They turned into money faster. And it allowed us to refine our automation internally to make that process even smoother. So understanding problem statements, we're not doing anything for not solving people's problems. And if you find that marketing is difficult, you haven't honed in on the problem that your customers want you to solve, because people desperately want their problem solved. Everyone listening to this, you have like 10 problems that you wish someone could just come in and just take off your plate. You desperately want that solution, and you desperately want a credible, trustworthy partner or retail solution or product that can help you solve that thing. That's what you need to be for the people that you are serving.
Really well said. Robert, unfortunately, we are just about out of time here, but before we have to go, I want to make sure you have a chance to tell the audience how they can connect with you if they want to learn more about you or work with you.
Yeah. Our website is brillmedia.co, BRILL media.co. Email is robert@brillmedia.co. And phone number 800-488-1973. Reach out, say hi, conduct a sprint test, validate your marketing, and make sure that your marketing efforts are far more valuable.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. And thanks so much for sharing all the great insights and tips today. You really opened up the kimono, as they say, and kind of given us the playbook here. So hopefully a lot of folks are going to reach out to you, and I'll make sure we put a backlink to your website in the show notes today. So well done on that front too. So thanks again for joining us today on Behind the Numbers, Robert.
Thanks, Dave.
We've been talking with Robert Brill, who is the CEO of Brill Media. My name is Dave Bookbinder, and I'm known for helping my clients in the valuation of their businesses. If you're a business owner and you don't know what your business is worth, we should probably have a conversation. So feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. Thank you out there for watching, listening. We so appreciate your support of this program. Can't do it without you. That is all we have for today, gang. We'll see you next time on Behind the Numbers. Take care.